Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 4 of FX's Dave, entitled Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, I'm a big fan of Kareem. Well, not a big fan. I take that back. That was I got a little bit too anxious here. I've liked Kareem over the course of his the tail end of his career. In case you can't tell, that's kind of the era of basketball that I grew up on. So I really enjoyed watching my team handily get Kareem out of the playoffs in 1989. That was a good time. But putting that aside, this episode was really good. I liked how they did a great job of balancing both the humor with the serious scenes. And I think that's when this show is at its best, is when it does a good job of that balance between, giving you some really good laughs, but also giving you some serious scenes. And this show, I think, does a really good job with their serious scenes because they've done the groundwork of establishing these characters to make some of these scenes have a little bit more impact than they would have otherwise. So, I'll give an example. I thought the scene with Gator flipping out on these prankster twins, the Stone brothers. And side note, are these people real? Like, are they Stone brothers or Stone twins or whatever they were? Are those real TikTok prank comedians, or are they supposed to be knockoffs of Jake and Logan Paul? I don't know. But the scene where he goes to this audition for this rhythm and flow show, and they ask him to freestyle, he can't do it, which is in my opinion, a hip-hop violation. But he can't do the freestyle. They reveal it's them, and they're pranking him, and they're putting this on Instagram and all this kind of shit. And Gator flips the fuck out. Like, he hits one of the guys. He goes completely, berserk. And, if this was, like, say, your first season watching Dave, and you just started season 2, you'd be like, man, he really flipped out. But they laid the groundwork in season 1 for Gator's mental issues and things of that nature. So when you see that kind of thing happen and you see him freak out over that, like, that's something that, like, you understand, like, how serious this is for him. Not just the idea of being pranked like that, but how serious, like, what he's going through mentally is. So I thought that was a great scene because you look at it on the surface as just a scene of a guy getting pranked and getting pissed off about it. But when you have that added context of Gator's mental issues that were touched on in season 1, it adds a little bit more context to that scene. So, like, that's the kind of stuff that this show does that I think that it does it really well. They even do it for their kind of like their big comedic set pieces. They set these things up throughout the entire episode. So, like, think about, I think it was episode 2 where he at the end, Dave puts his dick inside this, like, ant infested sex toy or whatever, and I think it ended up being a dream or something like that. But they set that up with the whole ant situation and Gator on the virtual reality goggles the whole time, and they've done a really good job with that. I think especially in this season, setting up those big moments. And in this episode, you had them doing what they do best, which is taking a already awkward situation and just snowballing the awkwardness of it until it's just a big clusterfuck of what is even happening right now. And that's the scene where Kareem gets locked in the bathroom because that was so well written, and this show is doing a really great job of doing some really well written stuff, like I mentioned last week with what they did with Mike and his birthday. Like, this is so well written because it's like a perfect storm of fuck ups, and it plays to both high comedic effect but also like high cringe. Like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. And they set it up with the doorknob situation, which they had. They mentioned the doorknob thing twice, with the doorknob not working on the bathroom. Gator coming back at the exact time that Kareem is locked in there, still dealing with what he dealt with at the this fake audition or whatever. Then you got Allie showing up. You got him and Mike. Mike goes to grab a knife. So, and I'm sitting here like, you're going to grab a knife with, Gator this mad at you? Like, this is going to go completely wrong. And then they got Kareem. They set up Kareem as being claustrophobic in the scene where he's getting out of the car. So I'm like, they set all this stuff up earlier in the episode for maximum payoff, which is Kareem breaking his fucking shin trying to kick this door down. And it looked gross, his bones sticking out of his leg. And all of that was just, I don't know how they do it sometimes. I mean, I lack the creativity to write this kind of stuff. But you know, where do you even start? Like, okay, I want to end with Kareem having his bone sticking out of his leg. How do we get there? Or do you just go, you know, we're going to, you know, have this door situation. Oh, let's have Kareem get locked in there. Oh, let's set up that he's claustrophobic. Oh, what if we have Gator come back from this? Like, I don't know how the creative process works on that, but I thought it was a brilliant piece of writing. So that was really fun. That was really funny. I also liked, there's a scene with Dave and Kareem doing one of their interviews, and they kind of cut with the interview thing maybe like 3 or 4 times where they're in different locations. Like I feel like the first time they were at Kareem's house, and then the second time we see them, they were like on like a park bench or something, and then they're at this school or wherever where Dave tries to drop off this check to Allie, and then I think they're at Dave's house later. So I can't recall which point this was. I believe this is at the end when they're at Dave's house. And he asked him if he's a good person, if Dave thinks he's a good person. And Dave gives this, you know, this long answer that ultimately ends in a laugh, because Kareem, like, that's the wildest way I've heard somebody say that they're a narcissist before. Like, and that's really what that is. But at the end of the day, too, though, Dave struggles with his self-confidence, whether or not he's good enough, whether or not he's good enough for Allie, whether or not he's good enough to be a rapper, you know, being a white rapper in what is, you know, largely a black industry, like his ability to make and finish this album. Like, he has so much self-doubt. And I thought that was a good scene for him to like open up to Kareem, and then they ended it, you know, with that line, which at the end of the day, what he said is still true. Like, that is a very narcissistic thing to say, but I thought that was a really good scene. Let's see, what other scenes did I want to talk about? The stuff with Allie. So I mentioned last week that, you know, I really like the stuff that they do with Allie. I like seeing her back in the previous episode. The weird vomit thing was like way over the top, as the show tends to do. And I like the fact that it was very, very clear from the outset of this episode that Allie was not comfortable with being around Dave. And what happened in the previous episode was a result of her just being high on whatever she was on. Was it Oxy? I can't recall, but whatever pain med she was on. And the awkwardness the next day that Dave is just not picking up on was really interesting to me. The conversation they have at her school when he's trying to drop off this check, and she kind of snaps on him and says something like, even when I loved you, I didn't like you. Like, man, she's going hard on him. But at the end, when she shows up to, you know, get the check signed, because apparently he didn't sign it, you know, she kind of does seem to be open to a friendship. So I like having Allie back in there. I like what she provides for Dave. I feel like she, you know, the show is lacking without her being part of the crew, with the crew being Dave, Gator, Mike, and Allie. And what's up with old boy? The light-skinned dude he was only he was only in the first episode, right? Like, what's up? Where's he been? Anyway, I completely forgot about him though, so that I don't know what that says about his character, but yeah, I completely forgot about him. And then a couple of things I want to talk about briefly were some of the things that I thought was pretty funny. Like when when Dave's at Kareem's house and Kareem offers him a drink, he's like, I like a tall glass of water. You know where I can find one? Like, what I like about Dave is that he's so corny, but it's still really funny to me. It's like, if you're somebody who likes dad jokes, you're going to like a lot of the shit that he says. These awkward stories that he's telling to Kareem on that park bench. Like, he said something like he has genital herpes, that he wants to destigmatize it and all this kind of shit. And then, like, if you have the closed caption on, you could see what he's saying beyond when you can hear it clearly. So, like, he says a whole lot of stuff in that conversation, some of which you might not have been able to pick up on if you don't have the closed captioning on, but that was a really funny conversation. I really liked after Kareem had broken his shin or whatever, and he's being brought out on a stretcher, and Dave's talking to Allie, and he says something like, I thought he was made of silk, but it's more like uncooked pasta. I thought that was really good. And then this isn't necessarily a funny thing, but I'm going to pose this to you guys. If this video manages to get anywhere near the views that the previous one did. I don't know if the previous one did numbers, because motherfuckers was freaking out about all the gay shit. A side note, man, what the fuck's wrong with y'all, man? Like, that was not, like, I understand that it can be weird to watch if you're a straight person, right? Like, oh man, this is a bit much or whatever. But like, talking about you're not going to watch the show anymore. Like, why is your masculinity so fucking fragile? Like, just don't like, You just come up like, man, that shit gay. Like, what is that? That doesn't make you tough. That doesn't make you any more masculine. To me, it makes you a fucking coward. That you just gotta. You're so fucking sensitive about your own masculinity that you're not gonna watch a show anymore because you don't like seeing some shit like that. Like, it's a good show. Don't be such a fucking loser. Anyway, beside the point. At the end of the episode, wait, what was that? What point was I making? Yeah, y'all got me, whoever you are, got me distracted. But I was saying like to leave in the comments if this video does as well as the one from last week, because I don't know if the one from last week did well just because people were freaking out about it and they wanted to go online and see opinions. But if this video does do as well as the last one, I want to hear from what you guys think in the comments about this. But at the very end of the episode, Kareem says to Dave, "I'm not writing an article," and he goes, "You are not." And what do you guys think that means? I took that as meaning, they just had the conversation that I mentioned earlier about him being a good person. And I wonder if that was Kareem's way of saying you are not a good person, which if Dave ever pieces that together, because he seemed pretty confused by that, if Dave pieces that together, that's going to feel real fucking shitty to have the NBA all-time leading scorer and multiple-time champion tell you you're not a good person when that's clearly a hang-up for you. So I thought this was a great episode. I'd say probably... we're only 4 episodes in. I thought every episode has been great, but this one's probably one of the better ones. I think, again, it did a good job of balancing the humor with the seriousness. And I think like one of the episodes, one of the first 2 was real heavy on the humor and not so much on the seriousness. Last week was kind of all over the place with like I don't think that one really had too much seriousness in it either, but I found it funny. A lot of people didn't because they don't know whether they're gay or straight. So like that shit puts them off. So like they can't even fucking think straight. But I thought it was a funny episode. So I think the show's great so far. I thought this was a great episode. I don't have any complaints. And I'll see you guys next week for episode 5. Peace.